There's levitation. As an old Catholic, you and I remember pictures of St. Francis, floating in a cloud. Mm-hmm. Well, why did a painter do that? Well, what happened, he would get so absorbed in his merger, in his spiritual marriage with God, that all of a sudden the siddha would open and he'd just be floating. And so basically there are a great number of siddhas or special powers, the power to bilocate, to leave one's body. All that one happens is one goes into one's energy field, which is called the etheric field or the astral field, okay, and bilocates. And this has been done for centuries and centuries. And so as one goes into the deeper levels of consciousness, these gifts or these powers, which is what siddha means, these powers are there. Now, the idea is not to use them unless you're going to use them for the benefit of the spiritual growth of mankind. Otherwise, the ego takes it over. Look, I can levitate. Look, I can tell what's going to happen to you tomorrow. Because the ego will grab anything and run to the goalpost with it.
Right. And where can we stop ourselves in that mindset? Because there's a mindfulness that we can adopt in regard to catching ourselves and catching our thoughts. So would you have a suggestion for our audience?
Well, the thing is, you have to be on your toes all the time.
Yeah.
Well, let me give you an example. I wrote the book, Princes and Ogres, Integration of Psyche and Soul. This came from a deep place within me, from love, to share the love of my knowledge of consciousness through meditating for 40 years and all my experiences to help people. This was a pure intent. This was an intent of spirit. This was an intent that came from my heart. Okay. Now,
right.
as I got a publicist got me radio shows and articles written, everything. Oh, my ego says, oh, well, look at that article done. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at those book sales there. The ego took the whole goddamn thing over. I'm sorry to talk like that on the phone. It's like I pull the ego back. This is not what it's about. It's not what it's about. The ego will creep into spirituality. So anytime it says me, look at me, look what I've done, look what I've done, you are an ego. And you've got to center yourself and say, wait a minute. As I do that, I cut off my spirituality. As I do that, I cut off my ability to plumb the depths of consciousness and continually deepen into love, compassion, the desire to heal and help mankind, and all of those qualities of the soul. And the ego will grab them in a minute. So I say you have to be on your toes all the time.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Don. It has been a pleasure listening to your wisdom and philosophy and guiding us to open our minds and our hearts and our souls here. Again, Don Mortesini, his book is Princes and Ogres, and you can also find that on Amazon, and he is a wonderful psychotherapist and author. I just absolutely love vibing with you, Don. Thank you so much for being on my show today. God bless you, and have a great week.
That's a treat. I love you, Lisa. Have a wonderful day.
I love you too, Don. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Now we're going to be moving into our third segment with a wonderful soul, Charles Edwardos. And Charles is a life transformational coach and inspirational and motivational speaker. You can find information on his mentoring and life coaching programs at victoriousliving.com. And I'm going to spell that out because it's a mouthful. It's Victorious, VICTORIOUS, living, LIVING, system, SYSTEM.com. Victorious Living System. And he has written Free to Be Me, Breaking the Macho Male Paradigm, Male Vulnerability, and What Does That Look Like? That's what we're talking about today. And so we have Charles Edwardos, our life transformational coach and inspirational speaker now. Charles, thank you so much for being my guest today on Unlimited Realities. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. I'm on with some heavy hitters. Holy smokes. I'm in the big leagues now.
Well, it's all about wisdom, and the thing is that we all have little bits of wisdom within us, and it's just bringing it to the light and letting it be, absorbed by whomever it resonates with. And so I'm really, really grateful to have you on today to really talk about what does male vulnerability look like. We're kind of focusing on, the evolving male today. We're looking at male well-being, the body, mind, soul, and we really want to look at, stepping out of the male perspective, incorporating more of the feminine intuitiveness, and then that opens up a whole can of worms for the man because they're not used to feeling so soft and emotional. So what does this look like?
Yeah, it's well, and you know what? When you first approached me about this, and who came to mind is a gentleman that I have so much respect for, and that is the late General Norman Schwarzkopf.
Oh yeah.
When I remember watching at the conclusion of Desert Storm when he was addressing his troops, and he got a little emotional. And he teared up. And I remember, I forget who it was, but the reporter looked at him and said, you were talking to your people there and you got emotional. Explain to us, General, how can all these troops trust a man who would get emotional like that? And he looked that reporter square in the eye and said, I wouldn't trust a man who couldn't cry. I think
great statement.
And yeah, it was phenomenal, and I love what Don was just talking about, dropping into, and that's what Free to Be Me, dropping into the authentic self, which is so contrary to all of the things, and I believe it came up when you were talking to Dr. Stein. The idea of how we are conditioned. I think you were talking about how we are conditioned in our childhood,
right?
Around beliefs and values, and this is the way it is. And we probably have all heard that at one time or another from both of our parents and adults. This is the real world. This is the way it really is. Well, is it?
Right.
And see, I have a couple of clients that call me Morpheus because I gave them the blue pill and I'm showing them how deep the rabbit hole goes. But it's
opening the perspective. It's changing that old paradigm.
That's it. It's the world that has been pulled over our eyes. But is it the real world? And having been a police officer for 10 years myself, worked undercover narcotics, trained by the FBI as a hostage negotiator, when I believe, in my own experience, when a man is able to find that place of balance and allow more of that right brain sensitivity that is generally associated with the feminine side, it can only prove to serve you really well in a sensitivity, in an intuitive type of a knowing. And I think a lot of guys probably use it without realizing that they're using it.
Right. I've actually found a lot of men use it instinctively in business because intuitively they tap into their business decision-making and they don't realize that it's actually connecting their analytical and their intuitive together. So I bring this to the awareness with my clients, and it's all of a sudden this aha moment. It's like, wow, I've been intuitive my whole life. I mean, it's like, yes, intuitive is you. That is who you are. That's every being who walks.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so that aspect when it's triggered by a male or it's starting to come to the surface of male awareness, it does tend to trigger a tremendous amount of emotions in men, and sometimes they don't know how to interpret these emotions or what these emotions mean or where they're coming from. So, I loved that story where, one of the biggest, toughest A-type personality man in our country cried.
Yes.
And he said, he said, hey, this is real. This is real human emotion. There's loss of life. Let's get real. So,
yes.
The fact that is something that we can look at, and we don't have to shy away from in our culture now. That men don't have to be brave and stoic and not feel the emotion. That they can cry when they're in pain or they're triggered or they're touched, because we're all human. And,
exactly right.
And you're providing such an incredible service by mentoring men specifically to embrace a side of their personality that's always existed, but isn't typically supported in male society. So you're free to be me, breaking the old male paradigm. That is wonderful. That's an incredibly wonderful gift that you're providing the world. So do you want to talk a little bit about that in the last few minutes we have here?
Well, that is actually one aspect, and the free to be me is actually even broader than that. As a matter of fact, I'm this Saturday morning I'm speaking at the main campus of Cleveland Clinic Hospital, and I'm speaking to a group of young people around this whole thing. And part of it is, Lisa, just as you well know, just the whole idea of the meaning frames and the beliefs that we inherited, not that we created ourselves, but to I love the Science Channel. They say question everything, and that's where I'm at. Question, why do I believe this? What do I believe? What do I believe a man is? What makes a man? And to look at those things, I think it's most important to be authentically who you are. Imagine your life if you had nothing to fear, nothing to lose, nothing to hide, and nothing to prove.
Wow.
That's freedom. That's freedom right there.
That's true. That's freedom. That's peace. That's peace of mind. And
freedom
very elusive. Yes.
Yeah.
Elusive in the context of our society, if we get caught up in our society's, chaotic structure. But very, very doable when we are mindful to keep it intact.
Exactly right. So I love what I do, and I'm right now actually working on a couple of things where we're going to be providing some online situations, because I've had a number of people outside of the northeastern Ohio area where I'm physically located that have voiced some interest. So we're going to be trying to broaden our horizons here to make what I am so excited about more accessible to more people through the marvels of modern technology.
Wonderful, wonderful. Because that's, the more that you can touch in a natural walk of life that isn't like that aren't already embracing alternative thought or approaches or spirituality or body, mind, spirit approaches, the more that you can target and focus upon the average soul and awareness, the more opening that becomes, the more enlightening that generates to each person they in fact touch. So look at this with you going to the Cleveland Clinic this weekend and how many children are going to be affected, and then bouncing that back off of whomever they connect with within their families and loved ones. That's wonderful.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Lisa, thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you do in just getting the light out there and some of the wonderful guests that you have. I've been an admirer from the distance here for a while, and again, I'm just honored to be on your program today.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I truly, truly have appreciated you. I've loved vibing with you. You've been a very easy, wonderful, informative guest, and we'll have to have some more chat sessions in the future. How about it?
Look forward to it.
Great. And everybody, I want to bring your attention again to Charles Eduardos and his life transformational coaching and inspirational speaker and motivational speaker. I want to bring you to victoriousliving.com. And he has both Free to Be Me and Breaking the Macho Men Paradigm. Thank you again, Charles. God bless you, and God bless your work and all that you do, and thank you for being my guest today. It has truly been a gift.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome. Many blessings. Bye-bye.
Back to you. Bye-bye.
Okay, now we are going to be finishing up our last segment